Moving along on the next one. That plate didn't fit too well in that hole. That one fit better, but doesn't look bad. Productive. I had to use a track hoe. Took the bucket off, put the chain around it, and then walked it in straight in. Now I'm just gonna clean up the shaft. That spot fit about 15 inches, but anyways, I only overheated the welder once today so far, but I was smart. Before I put the shaft in, I ground off all the spots where the gussets are gonna go, and I cleaned off the entire shaft. So I also got a ground clamp. Put that on instead of doing it the other way, and it seems to be working better now. But I gotta grind off the gussets, clean off the slag from the plasma cutter, and then I can start trying to wiggle them on there. Well, you can't make this up. I have like an inch or two left of welding left to do tonight, and I ran out of wire. I should just get it over and done with. This is the frame, okay? So that square frame, instead of being vertical, it gets laid over, and then it gets put around there. So it goes all the way around it. And then this big bearing goes on the shaft there, and then it gets bolted to the top right here, because right, it'll be on an angle like that. So the bearing gets bolted there, but I have to mount it directly in the middle, because if it's not in the middle, then it's going to be cockeyed, and the thing's going to want to be driving off. So to reinforce it, I had these thick steel plates cut out, and as you see, thick steel plate fits perfectly. So what I'll do, I don't know if I want to put it flat on the ground. I should, but it's just so goddamn heavy. Probably weighs like 300 pounds. I'll just take that, lay it on the ground, tape measure, go across, find the center, mark it, find the center of that, mark it, and then I'll put it on there, grind the paint off. I just got to figure out which side looks better. This side looks pretty rough. Yeah, I'll definitely put it on that side. It looks prettier. Just take the grinding wheel and clean off the rust and stuff. But yeah, so I got this one to do. And then I got that one to do. That's roughly what it's gonna be. Because I got the big top plates, because that's where all the force to tilt it is gonna be on. And then the bottom plates, it's kind of like reinforce it. But I'm kind of thinking I'll mark it right there and there, take it off, take the plasma cutter, cut bigger holes for there, and then try and get a piece of pipe. Like that wouldn't be bad, because it gives me like that, and I'll put the bolt through it. That way when I squeeze these bolts down, it won't squish it. Make it more rigid. Oof, that's gonna be questionable. Maybe my bolts are too long. So just doing some setting up here. Got the center marked for both bearings. And then I marked the center line, and I put a tape measure along the center line of it. So that way, I mean, it won't be 100% accurate, but it'll be it'll be pretty close. So when I measure from the tape to the edge, it's about 20.5 inches. And I measure from the tape to the edge, it's about 20.5 inches there. And then when I measure from the tape to the edge, it's about 20.5 inches there. So as long as this one measures 20.5 inches, then I'm pretty much square. Yep, pretty much 20.5. Lucky me, I built it right. So now what I have to do is, for these plates, I'm gonna take my marker and I'm gonna mark where the edges are. I'm gonna mark where the holes are. I can take the bearings off. So I got my lines marked out, and right now I pre-drilled some holes, and I'm gonna be drilling through so I can fit my bolt through. I think I want to go a little bit oversized on the hole, so I got a 1-inch drill bit. I'm gonna pre-drill with these little ones, and then I'll have to flip it over, I guess, for the other side and drill those out. And then I have to drill the ends. Turns out my 1-inch drill bit is a piece of junk. It gets that far, and then it just freaking polishes it. I just went and got the plasma cutter. Cut a couple holes, and that was way faster than trying to drill. So I figured out a little bit of a plan. So I'll have to measure it. I can't remember if I got 2.5-inch bolts, 2 1/4, or 2-inch. But anyways, so here's the bolt that I'm gonna use as the pivot pin. This is the only length. So I don't like how there's threads throughout a lot of it. That's going to be in one of the, I guess, the front bar. So it's a 2-inch bolt, right? And then you can get thick walled tubing, which is 1/4-inch wall. So I'll get a 2-inch inside diameter with a 2.5-inch outside diameter. I'll use that as a bushing that goes over the bolt. So I'll have to get 4 lengths of it, whatever, 8.5 inches long. Then I'll get another piece of pipe that is 2.5-inch inside diameter and a 3-inch outside diameter. And that piece will get welded one section in this 4-inch piece, and then there's going to be another 4-inch piece. So that will be its own little bushing inside those, and then there'll be another bushing that goes over top of the bolt, so the bolt doesn't wear out. The bolt is expensive. The pieces of pipe are cheap. What I'm going to do is going to mark center over here, drill a little pilot hole, and then I have a 3-inch hole saw. So the 3-inch hole saw, I'll be able to cut a hole, and it will leave a mark, 3-inch perfect circle, for my plasma cutter. Then I can take the plasma cutter and just go real quick, like cut up a hole. It doesn't have to be perfect because that piece of pipe is going to be welded in. Not bad. Not bad at all. So basically, I pre-drilled the hole, and then this hole saw is definitely not meant for steel, but it's good enough to take the paint off. And then I got myself my 3-inch hole that I need to drill or cut out with a plasma cutter. Got them cut out, both sides. Now I can realize that how much material I have, how much room I have to play with. So with the nut or the head of the bolt all the way out there until the end, I have 6 inches. So I have to account for another 4-inch tube, like that, 4-inch. So that leaves me with 2 inches of room. And then I have to account for those pivot plates. And those pivot plates are, yeah, those pivot plates are 3/8. So that leaves me with 1 inch and 1/4. 1 inch and 1/4 of room. And I need to make washers. And I'm assuming I'm gonna make 3/8 washers. So that leaves me with I don't know. Leaves me with about 1/2 inch of threads. What I might do is just make a little tab cutout, a hexagonal shape, and then put a nut here and just be like a locking collar that I can just tighten it and put it there, and then it'll be able to pivot. Then I'll just tighten the bolt down, that way it can't loosen off. But now I need to flip it over. Actually, what I'm going to do is take the grinder with the wire brush and peel off the paint. And then that way I can be ready to weld. But Monday morning, I need to call the steel shop so I can try and get bushing material and the little spacers. Got everything all ground down. The wire wheel. Even did around the holes that I just did to get ready for those bushings that I'm going to put in. I don't know about you guys, but those ones don't look very straight. Whatever. They're big enough that I can wiggle them around. But got them drilled through. Got my plates cleaned up, the slag off of them. Had to take the Dremel and open up the holes a little bit. They were kind of beveled in. I'm gonna flip it down, put it back up on the blocks. Put it back up on the blocks, do a little test fit. I gotta grind off the paint here before I flip it over though. Gonna do that. And then put it down, put the bearings and stuff on. I think what I'm going to do, since these are 2 7/16, the bearings, I'm gonna try and find some 2 7/16 pipe. That way, what I can do is put these on with the plates, because the bolts fit snug on the plates. I'll stick the pipe through when I got them on and the bolted kind of like lightly, and then I'll stick the pipe through it. That'll imitate the shaft going through, and that way I know when I weld this stuff on, no, I'm not going to weld the bearings on, I'm just going to weld the plates on. And then I know that way it'll be true. And same goes with the bushings in here. I'm gonna get a long section. I'll probably try and find PVC pipe, because that should be, I mean, ABS pipe maybe? I don't know which one would be straighter, but it'll be straight that I can run it all the way through the length. And then when I weld in those bushings, it'll actually be straight. And that way, when it wants to pivot, it's not gonna be cockeyed and it'll bind when it starts turning. But yeah, I'm gonna take the grinder, brush off this paint, rust in the area, so when I'm ready to weld it on, it'll be good to go. Right, Mutt? Yeah. I didn't have a piece of pipe that was 2 7/16. I just got this 2-inch one, and it barely fits in it width-wise. But yeah, this is a test fit. Hopefully everything's straight. I got some wiggle room side to side to correct. And I got that on both sides, so that's twice the amount is what's playing right here. And then I'll probably do the exact same thing with the main pivot pins, I guess bolts, but I can always cut the holes a little bit oblonged and then wiggle them and weld them in. But yeah, it's coming together slowly but surely. Crappy part is I gotta do a whole nother one. Hasn't even been started. This took me better part of 5 hours. Just mainly was just figuring out what I have to do. Now that I've done it once, it shouldn't take too long to do the other one. It's gonna look pretty good when this thing's inside it. Hopefully it's strong enough. 1/4-inch wall, I hope. It's hard to say. I might get another 1/4-inch piece of steel, 4-inch flat, and then just run it all the way along the inside of everything. And then 1/4-inch piece right here to reinforce that on everything. We'll see. It's coming together a little bit at a time.